Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Truth or Trend, the holistic breakdown where Dr. Vrzal and I take your questions and we take the things that are being talked about in the world and we give you our 2 cents and our perspective, and we kind of tear them apart and put them back together and try to help us all to make better decisions when it comes to your health. So today we decided we get a lot of people bringing us in their supplements that they find at the store, and there's so many companies out there, and there's so much changing constantly. And I welcome it personally. I don't know about you, Dr. V. I want them to bring
Yeah,
in
yeah.
what they're taking because I want to know what's all going into the soup, right? If I want to know if we're going to have
hmm
a good outcome at the end of the day, I want to know all the ingredients. And recently, I've had several people bring in a few products that I thought were us worth taking the time to look at. So when you look at them, you know what to look for, and not
Right.
necessarily in the supplement like what's in it as far as vitamin B and zinc. But what I think we found today after looking at this is that the first thing you should look at is that whole list of things that are other ingredients, right? That's kind of the big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we don't mean to pick on any specific companies, but we're going to use today specifically one that somebody brought to me this week that provided so many opportunities for us to
So
talk
much material.
about. So let's share the label and let's take a look at
Mhm.
this together,
So
shall
we're
we?
talking about multivitamins, among
Yep.
other things, mostly about
Right.
multivitamins today. And
Exactly.
yes,
And so many, and here's a good thing, and we want to encourage you, right? If you are out there trying to supplement your diet because you know that your diet has gaps in it, that's the whole point of supplementation. So a lot of
right.
people are really trying their best. They read this or they watch this show and then they go, "Oh, I need more of this or I need more of that." And then they reach out to try to fill in those gaps. But if you're going to do it and take the time and invest your money, we want to make sure we give you a couple things to kind of make up your mind whether or not you're grabbing the right one, right?
Well, and I mean, to their concept, right? Trying to make up, most foods are processed, a lot of nutrients are processed out of our food, out of our diet,
Right.
right? It's like the, early days of grain manufacturing when, people were getting sick when they realized that it didn't have the vitamins in there that they were manufacturing out, and so people were getting ill from it. So this is that sort of concept, but in a multivitamin situation, often even with the grains, they process out the good, healthy sources of the vitamins, maybe
Right.
make a pill out of it.
Right.
But then, when they put them back into vitamins like this, often like we're about to see, it's synthetic sources that it takes energy by the body and the liver to metabolize them ultimately. So you're not really doing a favor as much as potentially harming. So let's kind of, I mean, and for muscle testers, one of the first places I test a multi, especially with a bunch of B vitamins, is against the heart because I find them, some of these cheesy sources, I'll just call them cheesy sources, to, cause anxiety actually, almost over
Mm,
rev the heart
mm.
because of the synthetic Bs and so on. So if your muscle tester, test it over the heart just to see, if there's any side effect consequences of taking consuming a product like this. So let's dive into this label, huh?
No, absolutely. Well, I want to add on what you just said there. I think oftentimes somebody comes in with a symptom for the practitioners out there who watch, and we immediately start thinking, okay, what are they missing? What do we need to bring in, and what's the supplement that they're going to need? But I think we should equally be looking at what are they already taking because that could be causing it.
Right.
Yet just this weekend, I had a conversation. Somebody was having vertigo, and my brain first think, okay, if they have vertigo, maybe this would help or this help or this help. But then I immediately said, wait a minute, what medications are they taking? Right. And clearly those medications were associated with that. So I think it's equally important for us to stop and go, wait a minute, what are you taking that we don't know? And when you and I looked at this label, I mean, this potentially, and I don't mean to demonize this one, it could be causing a lot more harm than good. And that's what we're worried
Right,
about.
right, right. And I mean, just from the big picture, I mean, even quality products, if we don't need them, they can cause issues. I mean, I learned that in a seminar many years, decades ago now, that taking a thymus product would help prevent me as a practitioner from bringing everybody's baggage home with me. I'm like, all right, sign me up. And that product is one of my best-selling products right now because of all the garbage in the air. I mean, that's a whole another podcast.
Right.
But I mean, in my situation, I got to the point where I was playing softball. I couldn't throw people out at first base anymore and had a year of shoulder pain that it turned out because of the supplement that I didn't need anymore. I
Wow.
mean, You
Yeah.
know, I take it again now periodically, and it is great for me and a large portion of my patient population, but I didn't need it, and it was
Right.
compromising my shoulder function. So
Amazing.
look at all that really is kind of what we're trying to say there.
Yeah, and oftentimes when you're doing something, and you mentioned Catalan earlier, you were talking about how you wanted to show a picture of your daughter's teeth because she was raised on Catalan. These are in such small amounts that the risk of you running into what you did with something like that is pretty low, right? Because you're
Hmm.
eating things like mushrooms and nutritional yeast in that. But when it gets very specific, that's where I think it's really important what you're saying is to examine, should you stay on this, right, a long
Right.
term or not?
Hmm.
And if somebody's taking something like this long term, that's where, I mean, clearly we want to kind of caution people.
Hmm.
And
Right.
I, I when I started to break this down, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an all day job. This just this supplement, because
I
like you
know.
said, just explaining that these are all isolated chemicals, and for the practitioners out there watching, it's tempting to want to do that, but it's going to take an awful lot of time to do that. So
Hmm.
I thought
Hmm.
maybe today we could start at a different place and we go down to other ingredients, and that may make it easier
Right.
for us to start there to help rule things
Hmm.
out. And then once we rule those out, we can start looking at the
Right.
other things as well.
Right, right. I mean, because again, for time's sake,
Yes.
other ingredients is where a lot of products are going to get thrown out promptly. I mean, so yes, I typically start at other ingredients and like, oh, the integrity's not there. With,
Yes.
when we see things like sodium lauryl sulfate, see shampoo in a product, and titanium that's great for hip replacements, but not necessarily consuming. Right. We see all that sort of garbage. It's like, where's the integrity here? So
So,
then I don't even have to look at all the other nutrients from that point. Go ahead.
all right. So you called out sodium lauryl sulfate, right? So let's give them
Right.
something specifically to look for. SLS on there. And I
Mhm.
didn't even know to look for that until you mentioned it to me this morning. You're like, oh yeah, I don't want to put that in my body. And I was like, okay, what's going on there?
Don't
And
even want to
so,
put it on the body as we're about to talk about, much less put it in.
yeah, exactly. And so I don't even, I mean, sure, they have the reasons for putting that in there, but
Mhm.
yeah, this is one for you to look at. If you're looking at a label and you want to quickly dismiss it, I would say if you find sodium lauryl sulfate, that's pretty quick, right? That's gonna cut that one out of the equation. I
So
like
this
this.
is something that's typically in shampoos to make your hair feel moist. And so, and there's all these toxic warnings about having it in shampoos. You don't want to put it on your body.
Right.
Much, if you don't even want to put it on your skin, on your hair, how much worse is it when you put it into a body that probably has some leaky gut issues anyway? So it's
Exactly.
going to get absorbed into the bloodstream. Ugh,
Yeah.
toxic.
I love this graphic though. It's a
What do
it's
you
a
have?
hard no. It's no written in sugar cubes with a bunch of syringes around it. Like, you don't get a better image than that about no, let's not do that. But here's what's interesting. This is from, like you said, a topical standpoint. The number one thing they're talking about is skin irritation and sensitivity. And so I
Mhm.
guess what you just triggered in my brain is I think everybody out there who's listening should also check their shampoo, their topical applications for SLS or sodium lauryl sulfate as well, because we're talking about what uh, they're saying 15% users experience mild to moderate irritation, eczema, psoriasis sufferers. It can worsen your symptoms, leading to itching or flaking. So, oftentimes, you get these people coming in who have stubborn skin conditions, and you just never find that little daily thing is what's actually keep pouring fuel on the fire constantly.
And remember that your intestine is basically skin.
Right.
So if it's
Right.
making your skin look, ulcerative like that, what's your intestines going to look like when you consume something like this?
Yeah, it's like
Yuck.
letting it open the open the barn doors, just let the foxes come right in. Right.
Yeah, right, right.
But there's
Yeah,
seven reasons here to look for the SLS, right? Irritation,
Mhm.
eye irritation, potential 1,4-dioxane contamination. I don't know much about that. Do you, Dr. V?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, the EPA flags
Probably
that
so.
one as well, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Environmental toxicity.
Hmm.
So there's a scalp and hair damage, right? You're trying to keep your hair looking nice, but you're actually damaging it at the same time with this.
Right, right, right.
So, so there we go. That's ingredient number one that you can use to
And we can
dismiss.
basically do the same thing with each of those other ingredients on that product you just had out, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, let's go back
Mm.
and look at it. Well, the one that caught my attention first of all was this titanium dioxide. And the reason I want to pull that one out as another easy one for people to look and dismiss is because it's already been banned in the EU
Mhm.
in supplements. So just because it's not banned here doesn't mean it's still safe here, right?
Right. Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
another one that we should look
Mm.
for. What
Yeah.
were some of the others that we found in here that
And there
weren't
was a
worth?
lot.
Yeah.
Stearates, what do we have? You called out four different forms of sugar, right? The maltodextrin.
Yep, we got a maltodextrin, we got a polydextrose, we've got sucrose, and we've got there's another one in there. Yeah, sucrose and where was it?
Dextrin or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Four
mean,
different
why
kinds
would
of
you need to
sugar.
make a big old tablet that they want people swallowing anyway? Why does that need sugar in it?
Right, right.
And it's glucose, yeah, at
There
the
it
end
is.
there,
Yep,
and then
glucose.
sodium benzate, and then you've got some dyes, to make it pretty,
Mm-hmm.
right? That FDC, I mean, so the FDC, yellow and lake and all that garbage is a great way to get ADD and have your kid, bouncing off the ceiling,
Talk more about that.
and
Tell us more about. Do you find
yeah,
that
I
a
mean,
lot?
yeah, food dyes are, I mean, a great way they're excitotoxins ultimately. So they're
Mm.
going to stimulate the brain. And so you give Johnny is you know, blue colored Flintstones vitamin,
I was
and then
just gonna
wonder why
say,
he's
don't
having
make me
trouble
look
in
up
school.
Flintstones. I'm sure we're gonna run into all kinds of problems there.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So I mean that red and blue dyes are just notorious for excitotoxin means it stimulates brain cells, stimulates nerve cells to the point of death.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that he gets that kid all fired up. I mean, give him that, and then on the tail end of sugary cereal or something, and then wonder why you hear him from the principal every day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that's just
Yeah.
that's a rough road right there.
And that's what's
So,
crazy. With well-meaning people are really trying to do what's right. They're trying to give their kids more than
right.
what they know that they're going to diet. But unfortunately, if you're not checking for those things, you could be creating a much worse problem. That's one of the reasons we want to bring this up. It's surprising, and I think people have a faith, right? And they have this idea, well, the FDA is looking out for me, right? They couldn't put it in a
Mm-hmm.
bottle if it wasn't good for me. And I hate
Mm-hmm.
to I'm not trying to put on a tinfoil hat here or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that we should double check, right? Double check these ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think the
Mm-hmm.
regulations on this aren't as strong as everybody thinks they are, right? I think that
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of questionable things. It's an evolving piece, and so we need to be able to highlight and call out some of these things ourselves and understand that.
Be informed consumers,
Yeah, I actually tried to
right?
look up FD&C yellow number 6 lake for this individual, and believe it or not, it's actually kind of hard to find anything that says anything bad about it, which I thought was weird. Right. And the other thing is they often use the term aluminum with that, right? Because it is an aluminum based thing. And then now they can just leave the term aluminum out sometimes. But my question number
Mm-hmm.
one for anybody who's saying, oh, what's wrong with that? Well, give me one reason that the body needs aluminum, right? That's my answer right there. So
To
why?
suppress the immune system.
There you go.
and it can create dementia and Alzheimer's, right?
Exactly. Break down the
Be a
phospholipid bilayer on all of your cells, right?
be more electromagnetic sensitive so that your 5G phone next to your ear, next to your brain can sizzle it a little bit more.
Right. Speed up the process.
Other
Take
than
it to the next gear.
that. So
But
there's a story floating around about a gentleman that worked at a sewer water treatment plant, and
okay.
he kept seeing these vitamins come up. So they had sifted them out as they were treating all the sewage, and he actually took them back to the manufacturer and said, "Do you want these back?"
Jeez.
So I mean, buying this vitamin trying to help compensate for nutritional deficiencies, but it's coming out still as a tablet.
Yeah.
How much value did you get out of it? And
Right.
so then that's your stearates and your titanium and so on, making that tablet undigestible.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting in this, and I usually find that because they put inorganic minerals in there, right? They'll put copper sulfate, they'll put all these hard, undigestible minerals, but this one doesn't even have minerals. This is just straight vitamins, right? This is just straight chemicals across the board in this one. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. So maybe this one does get dissolved, but do you want it to dissolve? Do you want to release all this stuff into your body? Right? It's almost better if it doesn't dissolve.
Good point. That's the
Let it go.
manufacturer protecting us.
Right. Straight placebo. I'm gonna create a supplement called just straight placebo. Right. There you
There it is.
go. What do you want it to do? But here's my
Right.
question. If you have a question about an ingredient and he says, yeah, well, yellow lake number 6, I can't find research that says it's bad. Well, then my next question for you is, well, what function in your body is it supporting? Right? If you're taking this to support your body, to heal your body, then why are you putting something in there that isn't doing that? Right? What's the purpose of it? Is the question that I want to know.
Counterproductive. Yeah.
Right? And that's
Yeah.
just it. When you're looking at most of these, the corn oil, Dr. V, I saved that
Mhm.
one for you, right? What function, what deficiency is that corn oil satisfying in that person?
Right. It's a great way to create inflammation so that then they need to buy their turmeric, their cheap turmeric product. And
Interestingly enough, same person was taking a cheap turmeric, right? Because they have read enough to inspire them to take action, but they haven't learned enough to buy the right product yet. And I guess
right, right, right.
that's kind of what we're here for, right? Is those people specifically overall.
Yeah, well, I mean that was a good point that they're inspired enough to take action. So kudos on taking action, trying to recognizing the need.
Right.
So just need to be enlightened, which is hopefully what we're doing here
Yeah.
to help people, know what to look for to make a little better choices
Right.
ultimately.
And so for those of you listening, if you have products and you're really interested in us kind of, because obviously this is one's kind of shooting ducks in a barrel, right? I don't know. I've never done that, so I'm not sure it's as easy as they say it is. But but this one, it's an easy target, right? Because there's just so much going on. So if you're finding more and more ones that you're saying, well, I'm not sure, this one looks like it could be good or it could not be. And I've gone through that many times, right? People have brought in something, hey, I've never seen this one before. I don't know. Let me look. It doesn't have
Mhm.
all that garbage in the other ingredients. Okay, now, bring it to us. We'll take them apart. We'll talk about it. We'll say what we like, what we don't like. Because I'm getting to see how well people respond to these over time in clinic as well,
Mhm.
right? And like you
Right,
said, maybe it's one of those things where it would be a good thing short term, but definitely not a good thing long term. Or maybe you need to
right,
cycle.
right, right. And so we'll go through and kind of look at some of the synthetic vitamins there to talk about that. But from again for the muscle testers that do listen to this, I mean I will actually test, look for side effects, expose the body to it, and see where the body's compromising. Maybe even compare it to Catalin or another product that may have better value without the active other ingredients. But then sometimes I will actually take it away, in other words, muscle test it and take it away to see if there is anything in that product that actually creates some value. And
Hmm.
so if they do have some value, then I'd try to look at it and say, oh, maybe if we get you a healthier form, a good form of B6, then you can get some value out of it. And
Hmm.
so, what would, without all the consequences, without the side effects. I mean, much like I
Right.
would look at, if somebody's on a pharmaceutical that helps with
Hmm.
their psyche or something like that, then we can use it to see what the side effects are, but see what to benefit, if you will, to match what the benefit is
Right.
ultimately.
Because yeah, even that person taking this supplement, like it says folate, and you were surprised. You're like, oh, it says folate, not just straight folic
Right,
acid. And
right,
folate deficiency is a big issue, and it's a huge issue, especially in mental health populations. So this
right,
may be saving some people just from that alone, right? So yeah,
right,
you're right. There can be some value in it, but we want to make sure that if you're going to do it, that you're not having to deal with all the other stuff that we just went through, and then your
right.
body has to work to process that out.
Hmm.
So biotin, let me just ask you about biotin, Dr. V. 40 micrograms here, 133% of what you need.
Hmm.
Now, the individual who sent me this was also taking an additional biotin supplement
Hmm.
that was thousands. I'm trying to find it right here real quick. 10,000 micrograms. Okay.
Mm.
Now, this is
Wow.
one that everybody's been told that as soon as their hair or their skin or their nails start to go bad, that you need to start dumping in 10,000. And so let what like you said, too much of anything is a bad thing when it comes to even a
Yeah.
good thing.
Right.
So
Right.
we're talking 40 micrograms is over 133% of what the percentage daily value is. And now he's taking another 10,000% on top of that. What's your concern with that?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say, hey, maybe let's not do that?
But yeah, it's going to overdrive pathways, liver detox pathways, production. I mean, biotin's theoretically helpful in metabolism of B vitamins, but
Hmm.
I mean, realistically, I almost never see those biotin supplements test well. You
Yeah.
know, obviously, I need to find a good hair product, so I've looked at lots of them. But I mean, they just always seem to have some significant consequences. And back in the day when I was using a company that had a very high end biotin, I was thinking thing was $75 for a bottle of
Wow.
60.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean just to, I mean that was the other thing. I've been looking at a company, formulating company, and that's the other consideration. Each of those nutrients adds cost to the production of the product.
Yes, it does.
So I mean, trying to take 75 different vitamins in one pill, I mean, just runs up the cost, and they have to use cheap sources that really don't metabolize well.
That's what happens, right? You're exactly right.
Mhm.
Here's one that I think of when I think of biotin, but it's only 33%. I think of the B Vitality with CoQ10 as one that I think
Okay.
is a good broad spectrum because you do have a balance of all of those, and you got other whole foods, you got ribonucleic acid, things like that in there. So when anybody asks me about biotin, I usually steer them towards this, but then they go, "But yeah, there's only 10 micrograms in there." Right. But it's not about just
Hmm.
dumping in more and more micrograms of one nutrient. It's about getting all the other players to come together to facilitate the function of that 10 micrograms to
Right,
actually
right.
make it worthwhile. And that's a big piece that I think a lot of people don't realize is that it's not about just driving one number huge. It's about having all the other players to make the number that you do have actually function. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's like having
right,
a
right.
it's like having a great running back and be like, yeah, let's only feed the running back. Let's give him all the meals, right? Let's starve the rest of the team because who needs them, right? How well are they going to play? They're not going to play so well, right?
Serious.
So yeah, we got to
You
do
might
more.
as well look at the other ingredients while you have that up.
Oh, in that one there,
Yeah,
sure.
Coke, right? Other
Yeah, other
ingredients,
ingredients.
quinoa.
Oh, look at that organic quinoa sprouts. Water.
You think quinoa or blue dye is better for you?
Incidentally, the individual I was
Right.
talking about was a lady who was taking a statin medication and experiencing muscle pain. So one of the first things I want her to be doing is CoQ10, right? And this product
Mhm, mhm.
specifically, if you remember Dr. Dobbins, he would say about six a day is really what you need to be able to offset the damage of a statin.
Mm,
If you can't convince that person
okay.
or their cardiologist doesn't, will not reconsider that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So the
Right, right,
CoQ10
right.
in here is also 70 milligrams is not a bad, even though there's no percentage daily value on that.
Mm.
Yeah, we got black raspberry seed, blackberry
The
seed.
percentage daily value should be calculated with and without statins.
Yee,
Task the
wow.
FDA on that one.
Yeah, right. Yikes. Yeah, so this is a pretty solid one. If you're going to look at a vitamin B product, but again, to your point, maybe it's not one that you should take all the time, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe a little bit here and there to help fill in and supplement. All right, what else do we have on
Right.
this other multi over here? Pantothenic acid, that's
Well,
your B5, right?
right, right. I mean, B5 should help bring down anxiety. It's the primary nutrient to break down acetylcholine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, acetylcholine. So, but
Mm-hmm.
not as a synthetic source, much like that cyanocobalamin is going to inhibit methylation, which is B12 should be the primary methyl donor, right? If you
Right,
take it as methylcobalamin, but cyanocobalamin is not, it's going to be an oxygen, or I mean, a nutrient debt by the time they try to metabolize it,
right.
right?
Yeah. So far,
And
so far, lots of swings and misses here with this one, right? Fortunately.
it's a low batting average, huh? All
Yeah,
these sports
batting
analogies
about 50
today.
here. Yeah.
It's
All
like a
right.
pitcher, like the pitcher putting the pitcher up, for the home run.
Yeah, exactly. Just then
Interesting. Yeah.
bring him in to bring everybody home. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
So that they have E here as D-alpha tocopherol. That's a
Yeah.
very small portion of that whole E family that selenium is part of.
Yep.
I find
Absolutely.
people taking these synthetic vitamin E's is very common. Dr. Wally Schmidt, the late great Dr. Wally Schmidt,
Yeah.
was the one that exposed me to that in the way that it causes low back pain. So that chronic low back pain. My grandfather-in-law years ago was on a synthetic, 1,000 milligrams of, D-alpha tocopherol or something. And he's like, yeah, doc, what about, my back keeps hurting. I'm like, stop taking that silly vitamin. Within, within 2 days, his 5 years of back pain was gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And that
because
was
he was
that.
taking a vitamin E. Is that what it was?
Yeah, because he was taking a vitamin E,
Oh, he's
causes
taking a D-alpha tocopherol
a,
vitamin E. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a
And
big
so it
one.
creates that L5 low back pain because of the glute weakness that goes along with it. So, I mean, again, when we eat wheat germ oil, we eat the whole food, the E as God intended, as
Right.
a food. We get the
Mhm.
selenium, we get all the four different forms of E with it. That's going to metabolize much better, and your body's going to make use of it. Yeah, big
Absolutely.
time.
Again, it's that same that, and I think people are getting more and more wise to this. And I think we are all learning that the whole food version is always going to be superior to the synthetics. And this is just for a long time. People have agreed, yeah, oh, we're missing that, we're missing that. And most research you're going to find is going to point out one single isolate. And the research really
Yeah.
isn't there to look about how it works together. I think that's more of the future of
hmm
research when it comes to nutrition. But
hmm
luckily we can actually apply a little bit of just common sense and understanding
Yeah.
this is we're not going to get
Little
it like
common sense goes a long way, huh?
yeah, exactly.
Right,
So yeah,
right.
all of these are the isolations. I don't know if you want to pick on any other of these,
Well,
but
you might, yeah, I want to hear you rip on the vitamin D there.
well, let's see how much we got here. We got
Well,
well, it's a small amount.
cholecalciferol, come on. 20 micrograms of cholecalciferol.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, so it's they're trying to hit a number. So you look at it and go, oh, I'm getting 100% of my vitamin D, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
man, we do need to take a time to really break down vitamin D in a whole episode. I think we should do that in
hmm
the future
hmm
because there's so many missing pieces. First of all, I will not give vitamin D without making sure they have enough magnesium because you have to have the magnesium for the conversions from a chart that you showed me about how it causes headaches if you got low vitamin D. Uh, Vitamin A, right? I wouldn't do it with vitamin A. And I definitely wouldn't do it without making sure they have enough vitamin. Well, Dr. Lee called it vitamin F or your essential fatty acids, which we already know most people are low in.
K, he throw K in there.
Well, yeah, well, they got K1
hmm
here, right?
hmm
Which hopefully you
Right.
can convert to
But I mean,
K1.
with your vitamin D.
Right, right,
hmm
exactly.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
that's a real complicated one because there's so much convincing data out there that people do need to take a lot more vitamin D, and I agree. I think people
hmm
definitely need more vitamin D, but as you've talked about, there are other things that are stopping people from being able to utilize the vitamin D. That's the problem. It's not just
Right,
about
right.
more vitamin D.
Well, the oxymoron is saying everybody needs vitamin D, but sun is toxic.
Yeah, yeah, right. But not the form that's like the best and easiest form and the cheapest form either. Yeah, that's
Right.
I did come across
Uh,
some data that I wanted to share with you about vitamin D and on cognitive decline, because I do think we need to put more attention on that. But I think, like I was saying, we really need to be very, very cautious in hyperloading that one instead of looking at all the cofactors. That's a huge one when it comes to cofactors. But a brand new
mhm.
study finds that low vitamin D levels at age 39 are correlated with dementia-related changes in the brain 16 years later. So, vitamin D
Oof.
levels today can determine brain health in the future. Of course, right?
Mm.
That's what all these nutrients, and that's what people
Right,
don't
right.
realize. If you felt the pain today of your deficits that you're going to feel in 15, 16 years, according to this, you'd be much more motivated more quickly. And I
hmm
think that's where people are trying to do it with this. But when it comes to vitamin D, man, like you said, sunlight, but all the other cofactors is really what it is. It's not just about doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's part of our niche and our bullhorn with this podcast is you probably are feeling the pain, just don't recognize that pain is a sign, the signal,
Right.
joint pain, right? You just talked about joint
Yeah.
pain from statins and that sort of stuff. That's an early warning sign that, hey, if you don't if you don't
Yeah.
make a change, you're heading for Alzheimer's, right? Or you're heading for cancer, these things. So learn to listen to your body. Um, pain is a signal intended to elicit change, ultimately.
Right. Yeah,
There
exactly.
was, what else was I going to rip on here? There was, the B1, I mean, you're a big fan of phosphate, right? And
Yep.
taking these, thiamine, what does that say, monotitrate, I mean, these garbage sources that thiamine should be a thiamine triphosphate, right, to
Hmm.
metabolize it. So then the body's going to have to pull some phosphorus that it's probably already deficient to metabolize
Right.
that B6 that needs, as a B6 pyridoxal phosphate, right?
Great point,
And
right? And you need phosphorus for ATP, so their energy to be going. This guy did complain about fatigue, right? That was a big thing that he was concerned about. And this could be depleting him of the things that he needs for energy, even though you think of vitamin B giving you energy, right? If
right.
the right vitamin B, but
The right form.
right. Yeah. Wow. Okay. And I'm
Create
sure
creates
people are,
creating
what's that?
I was just say creating nutrient deficiencies and setting them up for kidney stones.
Right. Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
business.
And I'm sure those of you who are watching who are practitioners and aware of this, that vitamin C as ascorbic acid is a hard no as well, right? It's a very small percentage.
You're
That
so mean.
it's 100% of hard no, okay? And the vitamin A though, it's at least only 29% beta carotene, which is interesting.
Mhm.
But I always remind people, I mean, what's there like 600 naturally occurring carotenoids just in a carrot alone? So
Right,
there are
right,
so many other pieces that we need to be looking at. And a lot of times, here's an interesting thing too, is people will say, oh, yeah, you can't do too much vitamin A because vitamin A is going to hurt you. There's a study that says it. They're actually not talking about vitamin A. They're talking about beta carotene because that's what the study was on. It wasn't actually on a whole food vitamin A. It's a huge difference in helping bring
right.
that perspective back to the difference of what's happening here. Okay. Are we done with
Indeed.
this one? Are you going to take it?
I think we shredded. I think
I,
we shredded
I
it.
think we're
They
good.
get the
Yeah.
point
Any
by now,
questions
right?
or anything we missed that you all are listening to, please put it in the comments. Make sure that, we're giving everybody the full story on all that. What were you accused of that we didn't take a deep enough dive the other day? Right? We're not diving deep
Yeah.
enough. You let us know. We'll dive deeper.
Yeah,
But
but
before we're
they said
done,
that because we didn't support their what they
that's
thought was
right.
right.
Of course.
So
Happy
therefore we
to.
weren't deep enough.
If it's the truth, we will support your story for sure.
Absolutely.
But
So on the other side, you did bring up, I mean, just to kind of bounce it back to the positive side, I
okay.
mean, I had raised my kids, especially my youngest, on
Oh,
Catalin,
sure.
a whole
Sure.
food source of multivitamin, so-called multivitamin, and she didn't eat braces. I mean, so even from a financial perspective, that saved me a bunch of money, right?
Yeah.
Because just eating that, two of those a day for pretty much her whole youth, and her teeth grew in as an indication of bone health, right?
Mhm.
And um, development. Her teeth were all straight and looked like the kids, the Pottinger's cats, with the healthy teeth,
Yeah, I
that
think
sort of
that
thing.
that was one of the old stories of Dr. Lee when he would go around and he would lecture across the country and he would tell people if you don't want your kids to have what braces, cavities, or wear glasses, I think is what he would say. Make sure that they're getting these whole foods every day. And I think it was Catalan he was talking about. Now
Surely.
I'm paraphrasing and I've heard that story, so I'm not sure that that's truth, but that's one of the old legends, right? But
Mhm.
let's look at what's in it. Let's take a look at that, right? 12 whole food ingredients in this. And I like to point out organic reishi mushrooms, organic shiitake mushrooms, which are really getting more and more appreciation and understanding in the West, in the Eastern
Wait a
medicine.
minute. This product was developed in the 30s and now they're starting to figure it out.
I know that's what's crazy. That always blew my mind, right? That yeah,
Right.
where this farmer from Wisconsin in 1928 when he's formulating it, because it came out in 29, or
Wow.
earlier, somehow knew that shiitake, yeah, I'm gonna put shiitake and reishi mushrooms in there. What?
He was tripping.
Yeah, right. Like there's something about these mushrooms. Yeah. But but also organic sweet potato, organic carrot, right? Whole food, organic what else we got? Nutritional yeast in there, pea vine juice powder, right?
Yeah, yeah.
12 different whole foods. And beyond just looking at this from what we've just talked about being like, okay, all of these other pieces, these knowns and unknowns that are in there, we've been able to see this change people's lives for decades, right? Having this
Hmm,
as the
hmm.
gap filler for a lot of them. Now, this isn't everything. And in fact, standard process will not call this a multivitamin, right? They won't say, no, we can't call it that, because it's not saying it's got 100% of everything that we just looked at the last one that calls itself a multivitamin. But,
Okay.
we're here to challenge that. What actually really does that mean when you have a multivitamin? And you'll see here, vitamin A, vitamin C, only 4%, 4 milligrams of vitamin C in there, Dr. V.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Vitamin C that you can utilize.
39% vitamin D, right? Thiamine,
Mm-hmm.
riboflavin. So these are just the ones that they've been able to pull out enough of a chemical equivalent, right? To say, hey, there's a much of this to be in there to even put it on the label. But that
What the
doesn't mean that.
manufacturing industry measures.
Right.
But really, like you said, this is food. I mean, it really should say 360 milligrams of carrot.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, that would be the difference. That would be the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the last thing I want to do, because I know we're running out of time here. Actually, we're over time, but
What else is
uh,
new?
was this gentleman also brought me a fish oil. And I just want to share this
Ah,
with everybody, because the quickest and easiest thing is to look at Consumer Reports. And Consumer Reports does look for which of these oils are good and which aren't. Now, it doesn't test everything, but it's enough for you to know that you should be cautious before taking a fish oil. Because the three things that they point out that are looking at is, number one, rancidity. Now, you and I have talked about that for years, and obviously it's nice that Consumer Reports are also looking at this, because oxidation is an indication that these are lower quality and that can be rancid. And that is definitely something that people have seen a lot. Now, some of you practitioners out there who are actually still listening and hanging in there with us may suggest, putting the fish oil in the freezer to see if it freezes all the way, right? There are different ways. Or I heard somebody talk about taking it and opening it and having the oil drop on styrofoam and seeing how it responds to the styrofoam is an indicator of the different chemical reactions that could be rancidity. So there's a lot of ways you can self-test this, but it's good to know that well, first of all, it's not good to know, but it's powerful to know that a lot of these out there are just doing more harm than good. And I got to be really careful with the fish oils. Exactly. The label claims weren't even accurate on a lot of them. It's what it says. It averaged only 83% of the label claims were on there. And there are trace amounts of heavy metals and contaminants. Now, a lot of people are aware of that, right? And they are worried about mercury, especially in fish and fish oil. And there are ways that you can test for all of that. And so this is why I've been very, very careful with the fish oils that I use. Dr. V, you got something to say there?
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, rancid oils. I mean, you're taking a supplement. You might as well be eating French fries, as we're talking about rancid oils. And I mean, the crazy long duration it takes for that to metabolize, because the body doesn't have the enzymes to recognize those rancid oils.
Oh man,
So
you had to bring
just
up French fries and ruin everybody's day.
yeah.
Yeah, just another reason, yeah, to maybe say, no, I'll have something else other than French fries on the side. Yeah.
Serious. Yep.
All right. Well, there you go,
Craziness.
everybody. That's unfortunately the worst of the worst that we shared with you today. I don't know. There might be worse out there. Who knows? We'll probably find it. That
Yep,
would be a
yep.
fun challenge. Find us the worst supplement you found and a store.
I think the gentleman found it at the sewer treatment plant.
Yeah. Well, I argue back, Dr. V. It didn't release all of those chemicals into that
There
person,
we
right?
go.
It passed through them. So, right, which is worse, right?
Protection.
Well, thank you all for listening and for the suggestions and bringing us products and bringing us things to talk about. We really enjoy it. We appreciate the community that you help us create, of people out there trying to ask better questions and really steer people towards what's true and what's helping. Keep the questions coming. We have a lot more. For those of you who haven't heard yet, Dr. Vrzal is in the middle of a headache summit currently. So that Headache Advantage book that you see behind him there, he's doing that's a deep dive. I'm going to say it's a several week deep dive on headaches.
Indeed.
And if you have questions more about headaches and you want us to do more episodes on any particular thing, just let us know. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that we're giving some thoughts and perspectives as best we can to at least keep the conversation moving in a direction that is going to help us all heal. So, Dr.
Yes,
V.
indeed.
I know that you're
Yeah.
thinking about your slides you got to make for tomorrow's class.
Yeah, talking about glyphosate tonight, tomorrow night.
There you
There's
go.
there's a whole nother one. Yep, yep.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, headaches help us. They're there to warn us, right?
Yep.
So we kind of alluded to that as we went through. Pain is intended to elicit change. Learn from
Right.
it, recognize. I mean, a lot of these studies say, you have the pain and now you have Alzheimer's, but I lobby that they did have the pain, they just didn't recognize it
Right. Yeah.
somewhere. Hmm.
Or they covered it up, or they didn't. Yeah, they didn't receive the message. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Hmm.
it's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.